episode is brought to you by Razor's Doghouse, the newest sponsor of the Moneyball channel. Shout out to them and all their boiled treats they have over there, burgers and dogs. If you haven't been over there, Eden, New York, go and check it out. Very pleased today that I have Matt Phillips with me. He's with Pro Athlete Advantage is the name of his company, and he also has a show out. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, man. It's just crazy when you're open to meeting new people and you have the similar interests, all sort of stuff we were talking about right before this. It's awesome. So this is a privilege for me. Thanks for having me.
No, absolutely, man. I likewise. I noticed you, Pat Venditti had a few different interviews. For whatever reason, I was gravitated to yours and kind of skipped through the other ones, and I watched yours, and I thought, man, who is this guy? I kind of like this guy's vibe. I like what he's saying. I like his energy, and reached out to you, and you got back, and here we are. And who would have ever thought, 5-10 years ago, that Pat Venditti was the reason that Donovan Scott and Matt Phillips met, right?
I'm telling you, call it God conspiring, the universe conspiring, whatever you believe or don't. It's just like there's wheels in motion all the time. There's energy being moving all the time, and then the right people find the right people, and you just got to pay attention. You got to look.
Brother, I don't believe in coincidences anymore. Let's talk about Matt Phillips, though. I was excited to have you on, not just for Pro Athlete Advantage, but I wanted to hear your story a little bit. I've had a couple athletes on that have gone to Creighton to play ball, great baseball school. Tell us, is that where your journey begins, or where you're from, and playing ball up until high school? Tell me about the baseball stuff.
Yeah, the quick story. Toronto native. I feel like one of the few left, and the city's grown so much, but. Grew up here. We lived a couple other places growing up. I was born here, but we moved back here about 13 years ago. Moved back when I was going into 7th grade, and so went to high school here in the Centennial area, so just south of Denver. For those, wasn't really recruited to go play places out of high school. So I was a middle infielder growing up, shortstop, second baseman. And after my senior year of high school, played third base for the summer team. But, my love is in the middle infield. I'll tell you that right away. I love it. But I wasn't highly recruited. I was thinking of going to the Air Force Academy. A couple of JUCOs were looking at me. And, I made this decision that I was going to go to Creighton University, and they didn't know who I was. They could have cared less who I was, but I made this decision that I was going to walk on. And one of the most impactful people in my life is this guy named Gary Bishop. He was my coach that summer after senior year. And Coach Bishop, I saw him. I told him this just a couple months ago, actually. He still lives here in Denver, but he came up to me after the season, and he knew I was going to Creighton, and I was kind of planning on walking on, but I was kind of on the fence, to be honest.
Yeah, just a little what to do.
Yeah, it's like I don't know, do I want to do that and have that college experience and do all that? But he came up to me. I'll never forget the last game after we ended, and I'm raking the field, and he walks up. He goes, "You have to walk on at Creighton." He goes, "You have to." And he never knew it until a few months ago, but that was the reason I went and tried out.
Wow. And
that was kind of the straw that not broke the camel's back, but that was the last piece that I needed, that motivation to go do it. And so it took me down this path. One thing I share with a lot of athletes is I struggled with confidence a lot coming up.
Okay.
And so for me, the way it would show up is that comparison to other people.
Okay.
There's like, oh, they're bigger, stronger, faster, right? And comparison is not a bad thing. And people need to understand this. Like, comparison is not bad. You're going to do it. It's human nature. Like, we're going to compare, right? I'm thinking to myself now, I should be wearing a pink hat right now, right? Watching you on this interview. But the issue it comes into, and where we have problems, and this is what I was doing, is that I would become lesser than
100%
because of the comparison.
It was becoming a measuring stick. Yeah.
Yes. And so it's like, if I can't run that fast, if I can't hit that far, if I can't do that, instead of this focus now, which is, how do you maximize your gifts and talents to the fullest, right? And be thankful for that person. Like, man, I love that you can do that, or that woman can do that. That's amazing.
Absolutely.
Now, how do I maximize what I've been blessed with, right? And so for me, it was that confidence piece, and I was on the fence. So it was just that extra little bit that this guy believed in me. He saw something in me that maybe I didn't see.
What's even cooler about that story is that you did get to tell him, that it wasn't too late, and in years later, you got to tell him, and you get to Creighton, you walk on.
So get to Creighton, walk on, and I should have given Coach Bishop some grief, because I was cut after 2 days.
Okay.
Cut, done. And I remember, there's these moments I'm sure you have, and all the all the people watching have, where you just know where you were at, you know exactly what time of day it was. It's so vivid, right? Even years and years and years later. And that was one of those moments for me, right? I remember walking in the coach's office and down this long hall. Baseball was last door on the left.
Yeah.
I walked in and the head coach is sitting there, and then the assistant coach is off to the left, and I sit in front of the head coach, and I stopped listening after 20 seconds because they told me I'd been cut. I was very nice about it and all that sort of stuff. But I remember thanking him. I walked back to my dorm room at the time, and I called my dad, and it literally, as soon as he answered, I just started bawling.
Yeah.
And it was, the hardest thing that's ever happened to me. But Donovan, it was the greatest gift I was given. And I didn't know it at the time, but it was the greatest gift. Because what I realized, I think, as athletes sometimes, and this is business people everywhere, but as athletes, that's who we are. And so when people ask, "Oh, Matt, tell me about you. I play baseball." First words out of my mouth, right? And it could be I play hockey, I play whatever, but I play baseball. It's who I am. And then in a snap of a finger, these two coaches took it away from me. And not their fault. They weren't doing it maliciously, but it was gone. And I started making these kind of poor decisions, started drinking, grades started to go down, all these sorts of things, right? And I'm so thankful that, I went to this political science class. I'll never forget one of those moments. I'm sitting in the administration building at Creighton. A professor hands me back this paper with a big red C written on it. And it may sound like the strangest thing, but that was my trigger. That I remember sitting there being like, "What are you doing, Matt? Like, this isn't you. Like, we got to start reworking this and doing things differently." I stopped drinking from that moment on, made that decision, and I started getting, after I left that room, getting involved in intramural sports. I started lifting 5 days a week. I started to redefine who I was. That's when I discovered my faith. Like, I started to redefine who Matt Phillips was.
And you're how old at this point?
So I'm 18 years old at this point, right? Freshman in college. And anyway, so I kind of went on, and, grades went right back up. I mean, I'm involved. I'm kind of going through enjoying school. And, fast forward to my sophomore year, I go back to Creighton because, by the way, we have huge family history there. My mom went there, 2 uncles.
I was going to ask.
Cousins go there. My sister was there at the time. I was deciding where to go. So
yeah, because it's not like it's around the corner in Colorado or anything, It's,
right. Yeah, 8-hour drive to Omaha, Nebraska, and off we go. And so anyway, so I returned sophomore year, and I'm excited to be back and can't wait. And this guy named Eric Groen, a friend of mine, he had tried out the year before, and he had actually made the team. And first day of class, he leans over, he goes, "You got to try out again." And I go, "Eric, I'm good, man."
After you had gone through that.
I've never done that. "No, thank you." Every day in class, he leaned over and said, "Matt, you got to try out again. You have to try out again." And I got to a point where I talked to my parents about it, and I talked to my friend. One other friend was the second baseman on the team. And I prayed about all that sort of stuff. And I kind of came to this conclusion that, like, well, why not? What's the worst thing they're going to do to me?
Yeah.
Cut me? Like, been there, done that.
Done it,
it's
yeah.
like, I get 2 more days having fun in the sun, baking on the turf in Omaha, Nebraska, when it's like 95 degrees
playing
out.
Ball that you love.
Oh, yeah, playing a game I love. I'm going to go, do this. So that second baseman friend of mine, Vince, he took me down. I hit twice before I tried out. Long story short, I ended up making the team, playing for the next 3 years. It opens up an opportunity overseas for me. The hardest time turned into the greatest gift because I rediscovered, first of all, I discovered who I was. And sports, baseball was a thing I did, right? It didn't define me. The second thing is I rediscovered my love for the game. So you better believe I was appreciative of the opportunity to be out there. And I didn't play and set all these records at Creighton. That's not the point. But like, I love being out there and just having that passion for the game again and getting that overseas opportunity. I mean, that experience is what led me to start the business that I run today, Pro Athlete Advantage, 12 and a half years ago. Because how do we help these athletes like build confidence and, have the focus and have the emotional control, like perform at their best and do all these things. And it was because of what I went through that led me to where I'm at today and why I'm so passionate about what I get to do every single day. So,
and listen, I love that story, and to be able to kind of, wrap up all the ingredients into that burrito in a short time frame and really paint a picture, because I'm able to very, very vividly not only, put myself in those shoes, but understand exactly what you're saying. Right. And it's phenomenal. And it's great advice. The having already been cut, and this is a D1 baseball school.
Yes.
I mean, there's some really, really good players that have gone through, that are, like I said, a couple I've had on who are playing in Major League Baseball. And,
yes.
You were obviously a great ball player. And then to feel like, okay, I'm not good enough to play D1 ball, go back, do it again and make that team. I mean, what a feeling of accomplishment, man, right? That had to change so much more, integral in your life though. Like, wow, I went and did this. I feel good when I go and assemble a toy for my kids. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Me
you,
too.
you get the box and the directions are all in a different language, or they're like 1, 2, 3, and I get done with it and I'm like, man, I didn't screw this up. Any little thing you feel amazing with. So to have something so life changing, man, that had to be amazing. And then, like you said, carried on with you all the way to the point that you want other people to experience that. So I'm
Yes.
going to go ahead and open this company. Tell me about Pro Athlete Advantage, as far as what do people, who goes to see you, who Googles that, and what do they get when they find it, right? So what is Pro Athlete Advantage?
Yeah, we build mentally tough athletes around the world. That's our mission. And it's how do we climb inside the heads of the individuals we work with, and in a lot of cases help people get out of their own way. Because that's what I find with myself, at least, is I get on my own way 9 times out of 10, right? It's not that obstacle that I'm perceiving, it's me perceiving the obstacle in the first place, right? And not working through it. And so I've been really fortunate to work with, do one-on-one coaching with high school, collegiate, professional athletes from like the Braves and Cubs and all that sort of stuff. Really
I
cool
saw,
teams.
I saw you worked with my Braves. I saw you
Yeah,
worked with my.
yeah.
We're a massive Braves family here. Tell me about how you got involved with the Atlanta Braves, because I did see that on your bio, and I was like,
Yeah.
that's yeah. Tell me how that came to fruition.
It's just interesting again, just, God at work, right? It's like I got connected with this gentleman named Dan Winkler. You might not remember him, but a relief pitcher for the Braves.
I
He
do.
ended
I
up
do.
going
Yep.
to a couple other teams, but he and I randomly connected on LinkedIn one day and just
Really.
started a conversation and chatting and just getting to know each other. And then it ended up turning into we got to work together and kind of watch him grow and stuff like that. And, I come outside, so I kind of compete with sports psychologists that teams employ, but I'm just a resource for these players. Again, different sports, but, to be able to use and just help perform at their peak and work through hard times and do all that stuff. So that's how I ended up getting hooked up with kind of Braves and
I know that name definitely, and I mean, I've been a Braves fan since the early '90s, late '80s,
yes.
early '90s, with all those teams.
Oh,
Do you, so for example, someone, like you just said, they have a sports psychologist employed or whatever it is. Would you consider yourself almost subcontracted, right? So
yes.
so okay, so they might have theirs, and great, but maybe one of the parents, or one of the, at any level, right? Or
Yes.
one of the athletes, and they say, you know what, I need a little edge, I need a little something different, and that's when they go and get a hold of you.
Exactly, exactly. So that's one of the ways we help. The kind of big thing we do about a year and a half ago, we launched this is what I'm super passionate about. I'm passionate about everything, but a student athlete specific program. And so our goal is kind of that 14 to 19 age range, right? We've launched what we call the Ultimate Student Athlete Leadership Program. And so really it's coach led, right? Because one thing we understand and know is that, you coaches watching right now, the influence you have is tremendous.
Goodness, yeah.
It's
At
just like
every
teacher,
level, at every
every
level.
level,
That's what
every
people don't
level.
understand, man. I'm so glad you said that too. Like, T-ball, and,
Yes.
and not, listen, you're not coaching. They're all going to scramble for the ball on a hit, and they're there for the snack. But
Yes.
it's the way you treat them,
Yes.
and it's the way that you show that, hey, we're a team now, so we're a family now, and that's what
Yes.
sports are all about.
Yes. You know, when I look at like we launched this whole program, I think mental toughness is really still misunderstood. So it's become way more popular, right? That everybody's talking about the mindset. You hear Kobe and Michael and all these people talk about, Tom Brady talk about the mindset piece. I think it's still misunderstood because part of the reasons we're focused on, these student athletes is we need to start molding their brains, right, in a different way, but they have to understand the concept in the first place. So mental toughness to me growing up was show no weakness, show no fear, never let your emotions get the best of you, bury it down. For God's sake, don't let anybody see it because that could take away playing time.
Right. And
I think
that's probably the polar opposite of what you preach now.
it is. Listen, at the end of the day, like nobody wants playing time taken away. There's still that stigma, right? If something's going wrong, like something bad's going to happen. But the way I explain this mental side now, and this is school, sports, relationships everywhere, because this program is like, let's make you great in school and sports, right? And then it's going to propel you in your career. But end of the day, I tell people all the time, like mental toughness, all it is realization that the train's going off the track. Okay. And that's number one. You're going to have a bad day. You're going to have a bad moment. You're going to have a bad performance. Your emotions are going to get the best of you. You're going to have a self-belief problem at some point, right? There's all these different things that are going to happen. The train's going off the track. The question is, and is how long do you want that to stay off, right? So what we're doing is shrinking the time gap from getting off track to getting back on. That's all we're doing.
Okay.
So like we don't have to, announce to the world that we're having a confidence issue, but it's like, am I choosing to notice that and say, now what do I want to do about it? What tool, what person do I need to talk to? Like, what do I need to do to get back on track quicker? Be able to walk up to a coach and say, you know what, I'm struggling right now. And I don't know why, but I can't hit the broadside of a barn right now. And maybe I need that new fancy bat that's out there now that the Yankees are hitting all these home runs with. How do I start like working on some of this stuff, right? And preparing myself to get the train back on. So we're with this program, like through the coach, really what we've built is really kind of plug and play model. And I won't talk too many details because I love talking details, but ultimately there's two parts to it. The first part is student athlete focused. So all you have to do is get the kids in a room, virtually or in person, print the handouts or use the workbooks, whatever, and open the video for that module. We have 12 different trainings on the mental side. Press play. And the goal is in 30 minutes or less that they're now applying, right, these skills that they need to learn. So it's easy to tell someone to be mentally tough. It's a whole other thing to teach them to apply and master it. So
they have to want to put the work in too.
Correct. And so when you start doing it as a team, it's been really interesting what we found out. The second part we've got is a whole coach training, right? So again, as coaches, they want to improve, right? We built this whole thing with coaches sitting in a room telling us what they wanted. I went and built the thing. And so it's like, what's your coaching philosophy, right? So how do you set expectations with your team and the staff and parents, how to motivate athletes, all these different trainings. But end of the day, like if we can teach these kids at a young age from 14 to 19, how to handle their business and how to look at this differently and how to equip them with the skills and tools to put it to action, great things happen, right? One of the forms
it's all confidence because listen, we're all built the same way. We all come out the same way. What we choose to think in our mental and what leads us up to that point of us thinking that we can't go talk to them. There's something wrong with society. If you feel like you can't go talk to another human being who's built exactly like you, they're a little bit better at their craft, right? Maybe their genes are a little different. Their athleticism is a little different, but I have found with a lot of these athletes I talk to, they want to be normalized, man. Like they want people to a point, right? You don't want the weirdo stalkers or anything.
Yes.
But they want people to have conversations with them and they embrace it. They're not untouchable. They're like
they're normal people, everyday people who happen to play a sport at a high level.
Yeah, it could be a lonely life for them. Like they I'd be like, hey man, when you're in Buffalo, come, we'll go grab some wings or something. They're like, really? Like, yeah, I'd love to do that. So yes. I dig it, man. All right. So I'm over at your house. We're hungry. We're ordering a pizza. What toppings you going with?
I'm straight pepperoni and sausage guy.
Okay. All right.
I don't call it boring, but I don't know. It just works for me, man. It works for me.
Hey, that's all right, man. I'm a pepperoni guy myself,
I'm a big thin crust guy too. I think we lived in Switzerland for 3 years. I lived in Austria before too, obviously playing baseball. But I'm a big fan of the kind of individual thin crust, like European style pizza too. So with that on it, like
the artisan stuff has become big. We didn't even get a chance to touch on your career overseas, and maybe there's a part 2 in the future, or like I said, I'll be talking because I know that's of huge interest to me. And I don't care about anybody else. I'm interested. No, I'm just but I really, because you say that and you say when we lived in Switzerland for 3 years, I mean, that's an interview in itself. Have you been out to the East Coast? Have you been to Buffalo?
I have never been to Buffalo. I just booked a speech to Bangor, Maine.
Okay.
So it's not close.
Are you driving?
I will not be driving.
That's right through, man.
Flying through Philly to back up there. We're a little upset still in Denver because of Josh Allen.
Yeah, well, be prepared for that. Be prepared for that for years to come because I call Bo Nix I call him Junior Josh Allen. I love Bo Nix.
He's great. I love great pickup.
Yeah, and like all joking aside, I love him, and he plays with the same passion, the same style. Yes. Josh obviously is an elite quarterback right now. I think it's 2 to 3 years. Bo Nix, he might even. I don't know. I've never, obviously, I'd love to interview Bo Nix, right? But I would like to know who his game is kind of blueprinted after, because he plays just like Josh, man. And I've had Josh's dad on the show, and I'll tell you what, like, you want a motivational story, man. Listen to Josh Allen's story. I mean, no schools wanted this kid. He was writing letters to every school he could. Nobody wanted him. And Wyoming took the chance on him. And then the Bills took the chance on him, because he...
Well, true. It was a big deal. People don't realize that. I mean, and...
People around me booed the pick.
Oh, it was a big deal because you think, like, from a Broncos perspective, right? He's just up I-25. So you go up into Wyoming. It's not very far. People don't realize that. Like, it's not that far where University of Wyoming is from Denver.
I've been out to Colorado. I've been to Denver. I've been to Golden. I took a helicopter ride over that big gorge there, where the heck that is. It was about an hour. Colorado Springs Gorge, and but I haven't been to Wyoming.
It's crazy, and his story repeated, right? So nobody took a chance on him. Wyoming did. He killed it at Wyoming, and then he got to the NFL draft, and people were still unsure. That's exactly why the Broncos didn't take him. They were unsure because he was unproven in a smaller conference. He just proved himself again and again and again, and he's a phenomenal story. One of the secrets to success, which is not really a secret, is just they keep going, right? Like, people keep moving, working, doing their thing, and everybody else gives up. So if you just stick with it, oftentimes it's not like perfection is not going to guarantee it, but you have a significant chance to experience success if you just keep going, just keep doing it, like, and be consistent. Like, it's crazy.
There's a lot of times, even again with this element of my life with this show, that I've wanted to just shut it down. Like, listen, it's fun, it's a passion. When I'm 50 years old, I want to be here. So yeah, man, a lot in common. This was a lot of fun. I'm glad we did this. I'm really glad we got together.
Too.
I'm really glad you answered the email, and I think, like, we've certainly, this is the birth of something special to come down the road, man. So appreciate your time. I'll let you cut out of here, but again, thanks for coming on the show, and we'll certainly keep in touch.
Oh, thanks for having me, man. It was a blast, and definitely looking forward to the next chat.
Sure, man. Enjoy the rest of your day. All right.
Appreciate you, man. We'll talk soon.
Take
all
care.
right. See ya.